So I'm just going to spritz up my pastry. This works for any kind of pastry and also even for bread that's gone a bit stale, by the way. And this is going to go into the oven for 30 minutes, and then we're going to add our syrup when it comes out of the oven, nice and hot. Hi everybody, my name is Alia. Welcome back into my kitchen, where I've been showing you how to make some pretty stunning, awesome, simple, delicious, exotic desserts. But today I'm going to show you how to make a rose and walnut baklava. I don't know if any of you have made baklava at home, but I think it's one of those things we think is really hard, but it really isn't. It's very, very, very simple. All these recipes are on my blog, by the way, and don't forget also to subscribe to my channel, and that way you can see more of these beautiful recipes. So let's get on with the baklava. Now I'm using a mix of walnut and almond just because walnuts are quite expensive here in South Africa. I've made sure that I chopped my almonds in my food processor first because they're harder than the walnuts. And then I'm gonna add some spices. I'm using a mix of cardamom and cinnamon, so I'm just gonna throw those over. And then I've also got some icing sugar here. Once you've mixed your nut mixture properly so that it's all fully combined, we're then gonna start layering the baklava. Now you need a nice big pan. It's easier if you've got a pan the shape of the phyllo. You know, phyllo comes in those rolls. I've got the phyllo just under here. It's just a moist towel. It's just to make sure that the phyllo doesn't dry out. It dries out pretty quick. And I've just cut it to size so it fits in the bottom of the pan. You could cut it to squares, to like a small square pan and halve the recipe. You don't have to make so much, but of course it makes it easier. And then I've got my melted butter. Now it's gonna look like I'm using quite a lot of butter, but actually in reality, if you think about it, if I was gonna cook a sponge cake in this pan, I'd probably be using at least 200, if not 250 grams of butter. And I've got much less than that here. I've got 150. So it's actually not as much butter as you might think. And then we're gonna start layering our phyllo. You're gonna be layering it up layer after layer. And sometimes the sheets will be a bit stuck together. Just make sure you have a nice sharp knife to hand. And then the first sheet's gonna go into the bottom, and then we're gonna layer again with our butter. Don't be ungenerous with it. You don't need heaps, but you don't want the pastry to be floury and sort of dry. It needs the butter for moisture and for crispness. Okay, so you can see there's a tear there. It really doesn't matter. Just keep layering down the sheets. And however many sheets of phyllo you've got in a pack, basically half are gonna go underneath the nut mixture and half are gonna go on top. So once you've got halfway through your phyllo, so I've got about 7 layers here, and I've spread my butter, I'm going to put my nut mixture down. I've got a little bit more than what I need here, but you do want to be generous. I'm a big fan of baklava with a lot of yummy nuts in it, not just like all pastry. So let's have a go. We just want to even it all out. Once you've got a nice full-on layer there, you're just going to start layering your phyllo again. For your first layer, however, slightly different, you're going to butter both sides because I kind of want it to stick down onto the nuts a little bit. So just a light brushing of butter, and then that's going to go over the top. And then from here, you just want to squish it down a little bit so that it sticks nicely. There we go, and then we're beginning our layering process. Again, same as the first time. Just make sure that you do cover the whole sheet with butter, because I said you don't want dry, crusty baklava. So I've got my last layer, so this is going to be the top layer of the baklava. As you can see, it's just a bit time consuming, but it's not, finicky, or it's certainly not technical. The next most important step is to cut your baklava before you put it in the oven. A lot of people are quite surprised about this, but imagine cutting through loads of shards of phyllo. It's going to be, going everywhere. So you definitely need to cut it before you go into the oven, and you need to cut it through down to the bottom. So you need a sharp knife. Now, I like to cut mine in diamond shapes, but if you're nervous to do something like that, just cut it into rectangles. So I'm going to go all the way down. Don't be nervous to get your hands dirty, or even if the phyllo comes jumping up, just press it down. And I like to keep turning it away. You have to use a pan as well that you don't mind perhaps getting some knife cuts at the bottom. I love serving it with that bastani, the orange blossom ice cream that I made, which is on one of my other videos. The combo together is just heavenly. It's like a dessert they would serve in paradise. Okay, so now we're going to go across and start doing our sort of diamond shape. Once you have cut your baklava and made sure you've cut through all the way to the bottom, Another little neat trick before you stick it in the oven is to just spritz some water, mist some water on top. It helps the phyllo rise and crisp. Now, I bet some of you are wondering where's the syrup. So we are gonna add the syrup, but we're only gonna add a syrup after it's come out of the oven. I've already pre-made my syrup. I've got a syrup here that's been made with rose water and also with lemon juice. That just sort of cuts through the sweetness a bit. But we don't wanna add that syrup now. If we do, everything's just gonna burn and congeal. So I'm just gonna spritz up my pastry. This works for any kind of pastry and also even for bread that's gone a bit stale, by the way. And this is gonna go into the oven for 30 minutes, and then we're gonna add our syrup when it comes out of the oven, nice and hot.